Good evening. Welcome to DYD Cafe. Today is our 14th episode. This is a special day because we started 14 weeks back on April 14th. So it's a very interesting date. We started on 14th April. Today is July 14th, and this is the 14th session of DYD Cafe. So we started DYD Cafe as a platform to connect dreamers. Passion meets purpose is our calling, and we strive to connect dreamers throughout the world. So, what we aspire to do is to build a network of social relationships by motivating and inspiring people to the stories of dreamers who have achieved their dreams through the choices they made and the paths they paved. So, today we have a very interesting person. Today we have Suhail Tandon, who is the director founder of ProSport Development, an award-winning social enterprises dedicated to utilizing sport for the holistic development of children and youth. He specializes in sport and development field with particular expertise of working with diverse group of young persons. She has a professional background in sports management and coaching with more than 10 years of varied experience across the globe. He believes in the power of sport in catalyzing social transformation and has led the conceptualization and initiation of several sport and development projects on behalf of ProSport development across the country. And in 2018, ProSport Development was awarded by the International Olympic Committee in recognition of their outstanding work in the area of sport for all. So here we have Suhail. Our host for the day is Neha. Neha, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session of DYD Cafe. Suhail, thank you so much for being here with us today. We're very lucky to have you. Um,
Thank you for having me.
okay, let's get started with the questions. Um,
Sure.
uh, as an individual who pursued math and economics in your undergraduation, how did you get steered into the direction of sport management in your higher studies? Was it a difficult decision to make? Would you tell us more about that, please?
Sure. The decision was not difficult in the sense I grew up with sports sort of around me. I played a lot of sport. I followed all different kinds of sport. The only reason I got into mathematics and economics is because I didn't know what else I would do. But yeah, I at that point I didn't even know there were careers in sports, in the sports field. But yeah, during my undergrad, I met a few people who had done a sports degree and were working in the sports industry. So I learned from them about the different sports courses, what was available, what would suit me, and that's how I made a decision to do a degree in sports management. So yeah, it once I knew about that, it wasn't hard to make up my mind.
That's nice. You spoke about career in the sports industry. Would you like to tell us more about that? I mean, not a lot of people know about careers in sport, except like the mainstream careers, which is like sport and media and everything. So, would you tell us more about that?
Sure, the sports industry has now evolved significantly. It's, for example, in the US, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So it has a wide-ranging scope, all the way from sports managers, marketeers, to sports coaches, to um, all sorts of athlete support services, sports broadcasting. So there are actually a lot of courses out there that one can pursue. Um, Sports management is just one of them. You can pursue a sports science, sports psychology, sports coaching. degrees. So there are all, and you can do degrees. You can also do diplomas. So there's a lot of option now. Um, the sports industry in India is evolving further, and as it is growing, there are more opportunities to also study various aspects of sport in India itself. But it's still catching up to many other countries.
Okay. Wow, that's very interesting. I myself did not know there were so many different areas in scope that, I mean, so many different areas that we could pursue sports in. Okay. When did you develop a passion for sport? I mean, as a child, did you think you would ever have a career in the sport industry?
As a child, like every other child growing up in the 90s, I thought I'll play cricket for India. So that didn't pan out. But but yeah, I mean that was a dream, and that motivated me to play. Obviously, there were lots of role models, sports role models. Um, so yeah, but then when I was doing my undergrad, as I sort of got to learn more about the sports industry, about opportunities to study um, various aspects of sport. Then I became even more motivated to work in the sports industry, and at that point, once I was sure I was going to do a degree, at that point I felt yes, that's what I wanted to pursue, and that's what I've done in the last 10 years, to pursue a career in sports.
That's amazing. I mean, even though you didn't become a cricket player, you are a cricket coach. I mean, I read that somewhere that you are involved with cricket coaching, and you've also done your research with something related to the IPL, and you also worked for a book that was about cricket. I mean, that's so many things in one. That's amazing. So, what would you like to tell us about sports in India?
So yeah, I mean, I'm a self-proclaimed cricket buff. Have been since I was young. I played all sports, but cricket was my passion, and I pursued that. I played in several setups in India, Canada, and the UK, to some degree of success. But I decided to also, alongside that, get involved in cricket coaching, and so I did my level 1, level 2 coaching badges, and I mean it was very good learning, especially working as a coach. It taught me a lot of things, especially how to work with children and young people, but also the skills required, to mentor young people. So that was a very good learning and something that I've utilized in my work as well. Yeah,
Okay.
and in terms of other experiences that you mentioned, so other than coaching, I somehow I always got gravitated towards cricket. So as part of my undergrad degree, with a professor one summer, I did some research on the IPL. Um, and then in my year between my undergrad and postgrad, I worked with an economist called Surjit Bhalla, who has written a book on cricket and statistics. The latest version
Uh,
is called Crickonomics. So I helped him on that book, mostly on the stat side, because I part of my math degree was a lot of statistics. So
That's amazing. I mean, you got a lot of exposure and then you created your own organization. So, Pro Sport Development, where did you get the idea for this organization?
so I can't pinpoint exactly where I got the idea, but I while doing my masters, I that was the time I also did my coaching badges. I did a lot of coaching. I just felt that I wanted to work in the grassroots sports space, working with children and young people. And then when I came back, I always wanted to work in India. So I
Mm-hmm.
decided to come back after my masters, and like anyone who's completed their masters started looking for jobs, but all the jobs in India at that point was centered around sports, marketing, broadcasting, sponsorship, etc., which really didn't motivate me or excite me. So even though I got a few offers, I just didn't pursue it. And then foolishly or bravely, I still can't say, I started my own organization. It was a steep learning curve, but we basically set it up to work with young people and through sports.
Okay. I mean, you certainly took a leap of faith right there when you decided to start your own organization. So, can you tell us more about what happens in pro sport development and what is this change that you hope to bring through it?
So basically, pro sport development uses sport and physical activity to aid in the holistic development of children and young people. And we do that through three distinct avenues. One is where we implement programs directly for children and young people. Uh, the majority of children and young people we work with are from marginalized sections of society. And we really use sport as a tool for their overall development rather than just their sporting development. The second way is we do a lot of training for various types of facilitators, so sports coaches, grassroots trainers, PE teachers, who in turn work with children and young people, and basically, provide them professional development um, workshops to help improve the delivery of their programs. And lastly, we work with organizations and institutions and grassroots sports projects in various technical capacities to help provide long-term strategic support. Uh, but also recently we've done a lot of research, putting in place monitoring and evaluation systems on how sport is impacting young people. So a variety of ways. So those are the three avenues where we try to realize our vision.
Okay. You mentioned you work at the grassroots level and especially for the youth. Is there anything that lured you towards that direction? I mean, there are several other areas to work in. Like older people, but you focus on the youth.
So, I mean, when we first started, the idea of working with young people was there were few reasons. One was, um, the systems for sport at the grassroots, especially for young people, are still developing in India, and they need to go a long way. Um, so when we say today that we, being such a big country, we don't have any or not enough medals at the Olympics. It's not because we don't have talent. We have plenty of talent. I've seen it myself. It's just that we don't have the systems to identify and develop that talent. Um, Also, the other reason was we felt that many young people, especially from marginalized backgrounds, do not get access to sport. So if someone doesn't get access to sport, they A, cannot participate in sport, and B, there is no avenue for developing any talent. So those were some reasons. So when we first started, it was definitely uh, about working with marginalized youth, um, especially those from rural and tribal backgrounds, because we believe they have had the talent, but um, not the means to develop that talent. So our main objective was to work with young people to develop sporting talent. But in our first project, working with um, tribal youth in Odisha with another organization, that soon changed because we saw that sport was having a much larger impact on these young people than just their sporting development. So, I mean, though the project was successful in the sense, many of the athletes went to state national levels. We won about 27 medals at national level. But the
Wow.
more important thing was that they were gaining a lot more. So girls were staying were completing their education, were going to higher education. They were developing soft skills, which are crucial to their future. So that's when we really thought that we need to actually focus on using sport as a tool rather than an end in itself.
Wow, that's really amazing. You said you worked with the tribal youth in Orissa. How would you describe that experience? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, the experience was definitely unique, and I would say it had a big impact on me. I got to see firsthand, life in rural in India. I had I had been before, but I myself lived in rural Odisha for a couple of years, managing that project, and I got to interact with a lot of young people as part of the project, and it was definitely had a big impact on me, and it also, from a work perspective, it made me realize, the power of sport if used well. It could actually transform young people's lives. So that it really gave me confidence that what I was doing was worthwhile, and it had potential. Also, I like to keep things very practical. So um, you know, uh, coming up with theories and writing a lot of things on how things work, I don't believe in that. So when I, for me, doing is believing. And when I was part of this project, it really made me believe that sports could be leveraged as a tool for social good.
Wow, that was very well said. Thank you so much. Um, what I would like to know is that is your work strictly limited to the rural areas, or do you have things that you do in cities as well, like cities and towns?
So we work pan India. We worked in rural settings, urban settings. Currently, our focus for the last 5 years has been working for one program at least, which we call the Community Sports Program, which is one of our flagship programs. We work in the city of Bhubaneswar, working with children from various slum settlements. So that's been a focus. But we continue to work in several rural areas, not directly through our own team, but we collaborate with a lot of organizations and work in collaboration again with young people using sport. So it's a mix. We don't want to limit ourselves. Also, in terms of our work, we've not limited ourselves to any one sport. Our main program actually uses a multi-sport curriculum, but we are open to using any sport because for us, sport is just the medium, whereas the outcomes are more personal development, social development, etc.
That's lovely. I mean, you really aid in the holistic development of the participant then. Okay. Have you seen any increase in the female participants over the years? What would you like to say about the gender ratio?
So from day one, actually, we focused on a 50-50 gender ratio, or at least between boys and girls. We ensured that at least half our participants were girls at all times. All our programs that we implement currently are all mixed gender, which means that girls and boys participate in sessions together. We also conduct several mixed gender tournaments. Again, it's with participants whom we work with, but it's an opportunity for them to put their learnings into practice. So we've been pretty focused on that right from the beginning. Also, we currently gender is big on the agenda within pro sport development, but also as part of our programs. Recently, we've done a lot of work in sort of using sport for gender equality. We work on a specific program that works with young people in collaboration with a couple of other organizations. Basically, the program works with young boys and girls to empower them and build their capacity to tackle issues of gender-based violence in their communities. And we've been using sport within that program to achieve various objectives and outcomes. So those are kind of projects that we have been involved in for a while now, and it's very um, close to my heart at least. But it's a big objective of the organization.
I mean, that sounds very interesting. Definitely. Okay. How is the work you do perceived by society as a whole? I mean, there are different aspects to how the students view it, the parents view it, and especially schools and institutions.
Mm.
Uh, right on that?
So, for the participants, for the students, for the young people, they, I would say 95% of them absolutely love it because it gives them a chance to be outside, to participate in sports and physical activity. And for many kids that we work in schools, it gives them a chance to get out of the classroom. So we have no issues, or very few issues, in convincing children to join our programs. But other stakeholders are a bit more difficult. So we are actually operating in an environment, in a culture where sports is actually seen either only as a pursuit for employment or medals. Um,
Right.
um, but it's not really seen in a holistic manner. So if you're not pursuing sports for employment or for a medal, then the general perception is that sport is impeding your education. And unfortunately, we come up against that with schools, teachers, parents. So we have to actually do a lot of work with them to make them understand what we're trying to do, the value of sport. um, Once they start seeing the impact it has on the children, then they sort of start buying into the program more. Also, with most of the children we work with, a lot of them are first generation learners in their family, which means they're the first in their family to go to any formal education. So obviously their parents focus on them getting good marks, and passing with good percentages. But what we're trying to do is also to make them realize that other activities, within part of their education, so whether it is sport, art, theater, music, is very important to have a wide variety of activities that you can get exposure to, but also build various skills. Because if you see today, it's your marks alone are not enough to for you to succeed in the future. You need those soft skills. You need those values to be able to really do well.
Very well said, Sudhir. I mean, we're all stuck in this rat race. We forget to appreciate a lot of other things that life has to offer. Uh, okay, now I'll take a few questions from the audience. What
Sure.
part did you decide to take on this career choice of yours?
So I think, like we discussed, I did my undergraduate in economics and mathematics, so completely different from what I'm doing now. But I think, um, like I said, in my undergrad, I realized there are lots of opportunities for pursuing sports courses and careers. So I looked that up. So I did my master's in sports management from the UK. I also did my coaching badges in cricket. And I tried to get, along with that, I tried to get as much work experience related to sport, and that's why I did a lot of things in relation to cricket. Did a lot of coaching stints, um, and that's how sort of I got into the sports career. Um, to be honest, in terms of getting into the sports career in India, uh, I don't. At least 3 years, 3 to 5 years back, um, 3 to 5 years back, that your degree didn't really matter that much. It was mostly your experience. So I mean, to get into the Indian sports ecosystem, I would say work experience counts more than your degree right now. Whether that changes in the future, that's to be seen.
I hope that answered your question. Thank you, Sudhir. We have another question from Smital Shah. Um, oh no. Oh wait, that's not a question. Okay, we have a question from Preeta. She asks, do you think sports will help the kids how to handle failures in life?
Uh, One word answer, yes. But yeah, I mean, it has so I never realized what impact sport had on me till I, started doing my higher education. When I went abroad to study, when I was away from my family, when I was dealt hardships. So along my journey in the last 10 years, I've actually realized how much sport and my participation in it has helped me learn a lot of lifelong values, and handling failure is definitely one of them. But having said that, I mean, most children who play sports will have a better sense of how to handle failures in life, but they're not going to be perfect at handling failures. But what we do differently is, at least through our programs, and I know that there is a whole sector out there called Sport for Development that does this, is that we specifically use sports to teach various values. And for example, in our programs, one of the values is, uh, how to handle failure and how to learn from it and come back stronger. But it's done in a very deliberate manner. So we don't leave it to chance whether children learn that or not. That's part of their learning if they're in the program. So yeah, I mean, definitely sports has will help kids do that. I mean, there are loads of research studies out there that will actually inform you of data that confirms this as well.
I hope that answered your question, Preeta. Thank you, Sudhir. We have another question by Pankaj. He asks how the current interest from business houses like Pro Kabaddi franchise by Reliance will change the sports future in India. Will it just be entertainment or something more?
So for us, obviously, the entertainment is good, and we love the entertainment. Kabaddi is a bit different than other sport leagues because Kabaddi is homegrown. There is a big rural fan base out there, but in general, leagues. What's happening in India in with regards to sport is there's a lot of there's a lot of leagues out there now. There's a lot of commercial interest in sport. There are huge broadcasting deals. So there's money flowing in, but unfortunately, that money stays at the top levels. It's not trickling down. So, for example, yes, people say that cricket has money now. You can join the IPL, but out of every player that joins the IPL, there must be at least 100 who don't, and many of them don't have backups in their careers. So that's a missing piece for sure. Um, and I mean, these leagues will only change or will holistically change sports future. So obviously, these leagues bring sports stars closer to uh, people's lives through television, now mobile streaming, Twitter, etc. But also what it does is it does provide role models. But unless these leagues set up grassroots structures or help in setting up grassroots structures, it'll be very difficult to um, change sort of the sports future in India. Otherwise, it will be restricted to only a few, um, and it'll sort of people will come through the sporting system um, because of themselves and despite the system, not because of it. So I think there is still some work to do. Like I said, pro kabaddi is a bit different because there's a lot of fervor for kabaddi in many rural contexts. So and there is a culture of rugby in many rural contexts. So um, I think the pro kabaddi might have done more for kabaddi than an ISL for football.
You spoke about so many things, and I think your organization is taking a big step in changing the sport being limited to particular people. I mean, from offering it to the grassroots level, changing the history of sport in itself, and that's amazing. How would you say the pandemic has impacted the sports industry? I mean, it's present throughout the world right now, and how difficult do you think it will be to get used to this the new normal?
If anyone has the answer to that question, I'd be happy to hear that as well. I don't have all the answers for you, unfortunately. The pandemic has impacted sports big time. Um, in my view, I can talk about this for ages, but in my view, to keep it simple, I think it's going to impact elite and professional sport more severely than it would grassroots sports. The fear in India, though, is that grassroots sports is not organized that well. That is a cause of concern. In terms of for us, we've not had any programs ongoing since mid-March because schools have been closed. What we did right in the beginning was we started making and sending some videos of simple fitness, yoga, stretching, fun games, routines that kids could do uh, within their homes, um, and we've been doing that now for about 3.5 months. But it was started as just to keep children engaged. But we might have to think of different ways of doing that. Um, as you know, schools are, I think, still a while away from reopening. However, having said that, taking sports digital again restricts to whom sports can reach out to. For example,
Correct.
our kids rely on their parents' smartphone if they have one, and if they
Mm-hmm.
have a smartphone. Many parents don't have phones or have simple phones. So it makes it very tough and for us to reach out to everyone. And um, that's something we have recognized right from the beginning, and something that we need to keep in mind, because unless IT infrastructure, access to technology is changed, not everyone can have access to sports online.
Right. I mean, the pandemic has severely limited all of our physical activity, and we've all been stuck at home ever since. And the lack of technology thing you mentioned is also very relevant, but I hope measures will be taken to provide it to everyone equally. Speaking of that, Savina wants to know how do you encourage the children to continue doing sports activity being indoors? How do you keep them motivated?
Uh, Good question. We've obviously our coaches on the ground have been interacting with children as much as they can. Again, sending these weekly videos of their own coaches, doing these activities, exercises, kept them motivated. We've also tried to get some professional athletes to do a few videos which we can send to the children we work with to keep them motivated. But it is tough, and we are also concerned about mental well-being of children in lockdown and not being able to go to school. So that's something that we look at in terms of incorporating into our programs as we move forward. So we're doing the best we can with the limited resources we have and our participants have, and so yeah, just trying our best. But yeah, basically what we're doing is, in terms of operationally, we made WhatsApp groups and we are sharing videos through WhatsApp, and then getting the feedback of children in terms of whether they're liking it, what else they would like, etc.
I think the little things you're doing also makes a big difference in their lives. So, thank you for continuing to do that. Vinish asked, do you think commercializing sports will dilute its purpose and the impact of sport in their holistic development?
So I think commercial sport and recreational sport or grassroots sport both have their role to play. For example, if you don't have the commercial aspect of sport, then a lot of grassroots activities also will be impacted. But I think, in my opinion at least, commercializing sport at the expense of um, grassroots sport or recreation sport is not the way to go. I don't think it's going to set a solid platform and allow actually the wider population to participate in sport. So also one negative of commercialization of sport has it's become really cutthroat. So again, uh, in many ways, it has also become a rat race,
Right.
um, which is not what sports, at least to me, is about. It's about participation, enjoying yourself, and learning skills. So that's something to look at as well. And the issue with commercial sport has to be better in terms of providing alternate avenues to athletes who don't make it as professionals. I think that's what's lacking. So there is a scope for both areas of sport. Um, how we balance that is going to be very important.
Right. Speaking of athletes, Adarsh has a question. He asked, why is track and field not given as importance as cricket, and why don't they have that qualified coaches?
Excellent question. And I think, again, one main reason is cricket is far more commercialized than track and field in India, at least. So there's not uh, as much money flowing into track and field um, than to cricket. Also, because of the the commercialization of cricket in the last 3 decades, it has been able to um, create better grassroots systems than other sports, such as track and field. The other point is, cricket has their own system led by the BCCI to qualify coaches. So they have a level 1 to level 4. Track and field doesn't. Track and field relies on the National Institute of Sport, and unfortunately, our sports education, especially coaching education, is still some way behind the global benchmark currently, and that's why you will see actually our national team for track and field mostly are led by foreign coaches. Um, so I think there is a big need to develop homegrown coaches, especially at the grassroots. So our system, unfortunately, even if you go to a district for a job, for example, at a government sports center, they will require you to have done a National Institute of Sport certification, and to do that, you have to have played at national level.
Oh, wow.
So it's a very difficult way to go. So I mean, what we have been advocating is to get young people at the grassroots who've played some sport to train them locally, build local resources so that they can at least get children interested, learn basics of say any sport, track and field, football, and then once they move higher, they have better qualified coaches. So I think those systems are missing in track and field. Obviously, cricket has better systems, but again, even in cricket, the systems can be improved.
Thank you so much for answering that, Suhail. Rashmi has a question. She asks, have you thought about old sports like, okay, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but Pagadik, Chalkabara, Galtoria, Kuntabile, Kho, Kabaddi, etc.?
So first time I'm also hearing many names on that list. But yeah, there is. So we have utilized games like Kho and Kabaddi. We would love to utilize more indigenous local games and sports. Um, However, for example, I am hearing for the first time about these sports. Um, so, we as an organization ourselves probably need to update ourselves. But we try and definitely incorporate local indigenous games. Kho and Kabaddi are by far the most popular. And I think there is a focus of the government as well to re-energize some of these sports. So the Khelo India program led by Government of India also has an aspect of indigenous sports and games. So there are lots of avenues it can be developed. It's just finding those right avenues. But yeah, PSD does use some of these, but I think we can do a far better job in incorporating some of these, more of these.
Okay, thank you, Suhail. Okay, the next question is Hindi, and my Hindi is not very good, so I kindly request you to read that.
I'm reading it.
Thank you. Would you like to read it out loud so that our audience can hear it too?
Sure. ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में खेले जाने वाले कुछ परंपरागत कई विशेष खेल खेले जाते हैं। उनके प्रमोशन प्रचार प्रसार पर आपके क्या विचार हैं? थैंक यू सुधीर जी उस ये इस क्वेश्चन के लिए। और जैसे कि मैंने बोला कि अभी काफ़ी गवर्नमेंट स्कीम्स और प्रोग्राम्स इस पे फोकस कर रहे हैं, जैसे कि खेलो इंडिया है, उसमें इंडिजिनस खेलों का एक विभाग है, एक स्ट्रीम है। और मैंने ये भी सुना है जो हमारी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ ट्राइबल अफेयर्स हैं, उनका भी एक स्ट्रीम शुरू हुआ है ट्राइबल और इंडिजिनस खेलों के लिए। तो काफ़ी सारे ये एवेन्यूज हम परस्यू कर सकते हैं। ऑल्सो हम लोग अपने लेवल पे काफ़ी ये जो इंडिजिनस गेम्स हैं इनको परस्यू कर सकते हैं। जैसे कि मैंने बोला, आई थिंक फॉर एग्जांपल मैं तो पीएचडी का ही एग्जांपल ले सकता हूँ कि हम लोग थोड़ा और इस विषय पे सोच विचार कर सकते हैं, अपना थोड़ा और रिसर्च कर सकते हैं, ताकि हम इन कुछ गेम्स को अपने प्रोग्राम्स में भी इनकॉर्पोरेट करें। तो आई थिंक बहुत स्कोप है, लेकिन थोड़ा इसमें एक एफर्ट चाहिए स्टेक होल्डर्स का। और आई थिंक अगर हम मिल के काम करेंगे तो आई थिंक ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट पड़ सकता है, स्पेशली इंडिजिनस गेम्स को आगे लाने के लिए।
Thank you so much for answering that, Suhail. Okay, the next thing I want to ask you is, okay, a PST received an international award from the IOC in 2018 for your outstanding performance in the area of sport. Can you tell us more about that experience?
Yeah, it was quite a surreal experience, especially to get a recognition and award from the International Olympic Committee at such a young phase of pro sports development's journey. Um, so we were one out of three organizations worldwide out of about 100, more than 100 organizations to receive the award. It was for the community sports program that we have been running in Bhubaneswar since 2015. Um, and yeah, it was in 2018 October. I was invited by the IOC to Buenos Aires, where the Youth Olympic Games are taking place, and the IOC had organized a sports conference. And as part of that conference, we were awarded that prize. So definitely moment of pride, and it put into perspective a lot of work we do, and gave definitely myself and our team motivation to keep going, because it's just very early days, and we'd like to sort of see this as a motivation to more, do more moving forward.
That's amazing. Swell, would you like to tell us about the difficulties you overcame like throughout your journey?
Oh, difficulties, lots of difficulties, lots of challenges, lots of learning. I think one thing that I learned was that um, nothing is going to be easy. There's going to be plenty of challenges, and I think getting motivated because of these challenges actually going to you know be worse for you and the organization. So there will be successes, there will be failures, there will be challenges. I think we just need to learn from it and move forward stronger with what we've learned. Um, and yeah, I think the one key takeaway from my journey was would be to basically persevere and keep going, because I think it's easy to it's easy to sort of give up, but and things take time. Good things take time to develop. So I think perseverance is key. Lots of challenges. I think 1 hour would be too less to go through many of those. But yeah, just my learnings from those challenges.
Okay, that's lovely. I mean, you definitely learned a lot of things. So yeah, okay. I'll take the next question from Manish. He asks, do you have any interesting ideas to motivate parents to encourage their kids to play more sport?
Good question. Challenging question. Um, I think I don't know if they are interesting ideas, but like some ideas. One is, I think, what I've seen from myself growing up. Um, we played in each and every park around a 3 kilometer radius from our home, which unfortunately today are not accessible to children. So one thing that parents can do, and through, for example, RWAs, or um, local governance institutions, or just come together as parents, is to reclaim parks and public spaces where children can play. Today, when I go out, I hear like children don't play in the park I grew up playing, because someone doesn't want their car to be hit by a tennis ball, or someone thinks the plants will get trampled upon. I mean, public places, especially parks, need to be built for children to play in. I think that's a big concern in getting children active, because not all parents can drive their children 45 minutes every day to participate in a sports session. So local play areas are very important, and I think those need to be reclaimed by parents as well as by kids. Another thing is that I think dedicating 1 hour of play every day, and doesn't matter exam time, festival time. I remember even in exams, my parents had encouraged me to go out and play. It's just 1 hour of, keeping yourself happy, keeping yourself motivated. And I think parents also have a huge role to play. in getting children active. So if parents can go with children even twice a week to participate in any activity with them, then it'll encourage them to go out. Right now, children see their parents on phones and mobiles and tablets and computers, so that's what they're going to follow. So definitely, parents first of all need to be good role models for children, and then the children will follow. So some of my thoughts. Obviously, there's a lot more that can be done.
Thank you for that advice. Well, people start following it. Okay. I would like to know how do you say sport has influenced in your life, and has it influenced you as an individual?
Sorry, the question was what impact sport has had in my life.
Yes. How has it made a difference in your life?
Like I said, sport has taught me a lot, and I've started realizing that in the last few years even more. Um, just being um, First of all, it's uh, like a great avenue for physical, mental well-being. Obviously, taught me a lot of values, but I still participate in a lot of sport. I still try to keep fit and active, and it's mostly because it's a social thing to do. It helps build my social connections. It helps have time with friends, colleagues, etc., doing something we all enjoy. Um, so I think, I mean, sport has been an absolute number one motivator for me growing up, and it continues to be an important part of my life, uh, just because it not only keeps you fit, healthy, but also helps maintain social relations, social connectedness.
Hmm, that's true. Speaking of your life, are you happy with the way your life turned out? I mean, you certainly followed your dreams. So would you say you're content right now?
Yeah, very content. um, I like work doesn't feel like work. um, so that is definitely a good sign. I don't dread a Sunday evening thinking that it's Monday and it's back to work. um, so that way, definitely, um, I think it keeps me happy. I love what I do, and it keeps me motivated. And I think that's important. I think doing something that you like doing um, is important, and I'm glad I stuck to doing what I wanted to do, rather than getting lost in the rat race somewhere.
We're very glad that it worked out for you, Swear. Okay, I think Adarsh has replied to the answer you gave. He says track and field India is third place all over the world for drug violation, and we don't have proper nutrition plan from grassroots level. And what is your opinion in gene playing an important role in this?
uh, I think research is still uh, there is some research that says yes, gene plays an important role, but um, so I India is third for drug violations in track and field, and I myself have seen um, um, doping happening in sport at grassroots levels at like a district under 15 competition. So it's actually very widespread, and it's a big problem, and it obviously comes up to the elite levels when statistics like this come up. So we do need a new nutrition plan, and you're correct. Like what I've seen at the grassroots myself is children and young people who can't afford good nutrition um, usually um, fall prey to doping as well. um, and nutrition plays an important role. I mean, when we worked in Odisha with some young athletes, their nutrition was not very good for athletes. So we had to really up their nutrition. And at that point, I realized when, for example, an American weightlifter, he or she gets the nutrition they get from a young age, helps them develop physically. And I think nutrition in the first 5 years is very important. Um, and that if, Indian athletes don't get that, then they're definitely going to be an advantage. So it's definitely lots of things to look at, and nutrition is certainly one of them.
Okay, thank you. I would take the second to last question for today. That is, we would really like to know about your future goals. Would you like to tell us about what you would like to achieve in the upcoming years?
Yeah, I mean, we would definitely like to reach out to as many young people through sport as we can and make a difference in their lives, and help them grow. But I think a few of the more important things that we want to focus on is changing the perception of sports in India, whether that's uh, helping understand that sports can be used for various purposes other than just winning medals and gaining employment. I mean, that's definitely one objective, but there are many other benefits of sport, and also getting various stakeholders to understand the benefits of sport so that far greater number of children can access sport. A lot of the barriers to sport is many stakeholders key to children not really understanding the benefit of sports. So I think we want to change the perception of sports, and we want to inform people through our work the positive impact that sport can have and how it can drive personal and social development.
Thank you for answering that, Suhail. I will take the last question for today, which is from Kushar. He asks, how is it possible to benefit children in slums and villages from other states with your sports and development program?
Good question. We are open to working anywhere in India, and we want to work with like-minded people, partners. Like I said, our focus has been in Odisha since the beginning and continues to be so, especially having a team based out of there. But we would be more than happy to explore partnerships. We work in collaboration with several partners across India. So happy for uh, anyone to write to me, and we can explore and take it further.
Thank you so much, Suhail. Before we conclude for today, what message would you like to give our audience?
Oh, that's put me on the spot. But if there's one message is to basically to keep being active, keep playing sports, keep encouraging others to play sports. The current COVID-19 situation has just shown us how important sports is and can be in someone's life from a variety of angles. And I think keeping healthy, fit, and socially engaged is something that we've taken for granted, which we've realized in the current pandemic. So that's my message for today.
Thank you so much, Suhail, for being here with us. I'd like to hand it over to Vinesh for the conclusion.
Sure.
Thank you, Suhail. You would not believe this. I have 5 pages of notes that I noted down. So I will not read through all of them, but at least a few I would like to just put it across here. You told like every child, or like most child in India, you wanted to play for the Indian cricket team. Who has not dreamed that? I mean, every kid today also dreams it. So what I liked about your part is, I mean, the part that you are playing today is, today you are taking it a step ahead by creating opportunities for all those good kids who dream to become an Indian cricket player. So you, through your PhD or your institution, you are actually creating that opportunity where at least some of the kids might be able to play for the Indian team. So that's how I see it. So kudos for all the great work that you are doing. A few
Thank
other
you.
points that I noted down is, you told that you believe in doing, you believe in actions, and that is something very important, because yes, theory is important, but until and unless you practice what you want to do, it's not going to give us any results. So action is definitely very important. You told, this is something very important for all our dreamers. You told that you did lots of prototyping, like you did try lots of sports. You did some coaching stints before you finalized on what exactly you really wanted to do with your life and your career. So I think this is a very important message for all the dreamers out here. It's always better to do some prototyping before you conclude on exactly what you want to do. Other things that I noted is, yeah, you told about digitizing sports, and what I liked and what touched me is, you brought up this very important point that when you digitize it, it is you are actually creating a divide between the people who have smartphones and who don't have smartphones, and that's a very sad state, especially for kids who are not today having a smartphone. Obviously they will have to depend on their parents. uh, Even if, I mean, it is just that if they have, the parents have a smartphone, yes, otherwise, yeah, we are creating a big divide. It's definitely a sad state, and yeah, hopefully something will work out in the coming days. uh, uh, I'm happy that about the recognition that your team got from the Olympics Council, and what I liked from your observation is that it gave you even more confidence, you and your team more confidence to take it further forward, and that's definitely important, because an organization like the Olympic Council recognizing your efforts for the good work that you did at the rural places in Bhubaneswar. I mean, that's a great recognition for you and your team. So I'm pretty much happy about that. The last point, you talked about, maybe the last 2 points, you talked about the difficulties that you faced. What I liked about is, you did not go on talk about your difficulties, but what you told is you learned from your difficulties, you learned to persevere, and that is the most important aspect. Personally, I think I'm a dreamer, and for any dreamers out here, I think that's a very important message, because perseverance is very important, because we will face challenges, we will fail. Only when we persevere, it's what is going to impact. And the last point that I wanted to talk about was your message to the parents: reclaim all those public parks and other places so that kids can go and play in the evening. And you also talked about every kid has to play for at least 1 hour every day, whether it is festival season or exam season. The kids have to play, and that's very important. So I think lots of learning from you, lots of message from you. I think all our audience, the participants who joined us, has got lots of inspiration from you. So thank you for your time today, being with us, and thank you, Neha, for asking all those questions.
Hello.
Yep, we can hear you.
Sorry. Yeah. I think I lost you there. But yeah, thanks so much for having me, and thank you, Neha, for leading the discussion. Um, a pleasure to be part of this. And thank you for all the questions. Very pertinent.
Thank you. Thank you, Suhail. I'm closing
Thank
the
you.
discussion.
Sure. Bye bye.